Have you ever noticed how someone walks into a room and every head turns, not because of how they look, but because something unseen follows them? There is an electricity, a silent current that stirs the air. You cannot name it, yet you feel it. It is not charm. It is not lust. It is power distilled from the very chaos that lives beneath our skin, the primal fire of desire. This energy, the same that drives creation, art, ambition, and love, is also the most misunderstood. Many spend their lives either suppressing it or squandering it. They chase pleasure yet lose power. But when you learn to hold that energy, to breathe it, refine it, and channel it, something miraculous begins to happen. You stop needing to be seen, and suddenly everyone notices you. Sexual energy is the soul's raw voltage. When you transmute it, you are not denying your nature. You are reclaiming mastery over it. The body becomes the furnace, the mind the sculptor, and the heart the philosopher. Desire ceases to be hunger. It becomes fuel. You begin to radiate a quiet intensity that others feel long before you speak. They lean in without knowing why. They sense something ancient, something alive. Those who burn from within do not need to chase warmth. The world gravitates toward their fire. When you elevate your sexual energy, it changes your posture, your tone, your silence. People feel safer in your presence, yet more awakened. You stop trying to possess others, and in that release you become magnetic. This is the paradox of power. The less you grasp, the more you draw. Transmutation is not abstinence, it is transformation. It is turning the urge to consume into the urge to create. Every great artist, inventor, or leader has known this current, consciously or not. They took the storm of desire and forged it into purpose. The same force that once sought bodies now builds worlds. And when you live from that higher current, they will feel it. In your gaze there is no hunger, only depth. In your words no manipulation, only presence. They move closer, not because you pull them, but because your energy awakens something sleeping within them. It reminds them of their own fire. To transmute your sexual energy is to become the alchemist of your own soul, to take the instinct that binds most and transform it into the light that frees you. When you do, the world cannot help but respond. They do not know why they are drawn, only that in your presence they feel more alive. There is a moment in every human life when one begins to sense that the force driving them, this deep, almost unbearable stirring that arises from within, is not simply about reproduction or pleasure. It is the pulse of life itself. Sexual energy, when seen through the lens of depth psychology, is not a mere biological mechanism. It is the archetypal current that animates existence. It is the same energy that propels a seed to split the soil and reach toward the sun, the same that moves an artist to paint, a thinker to question, a lover to create union. To understand this energy as purely physical is to live on the surface of an ocean, never realizing how deep the waters run beneath. The ancients called it vital essence, mystics called it life force, and modern thinkers have termed it libido. Yet beyond these words lies a truth that is as intimate as it is cosmic. What we call sexual energy is the original language of creation itself. Before thought, before art, before civilization, there was this instinct to merge, to unite, to expand beyond the limits of self. That instinct is not shameful or primitive. It is divine in origin, though often misused by minds that have forgotten its sacred nature. The tragedy of our time is that most people either suppress or squander this energy. Suppression breeds frustration and guilt, while indulgence without consciousness drains vitality and weakens purpose. The secret lies not in denial or excess, but in transformation. When one learns to see sexual energy as a creative substance rather than a fleeting pleasure, it becomes possible to direct it toward higher forms of expression, toward art, innovation, empathy, and the realization of one's deeper potential. This process begins in awareness. Most individuals remain enslaved by their desires precisely because they do not observe them. Desire erupts, and they react, without reflection, without integration. Yet, to truly know yourself, you must be willing to look at the raw energy of your instincts without judgment. When you observe desire with clarity, you begin to perceive its deeper intent. The longing not merely to possess another, but to reunite with the lost wholeness within yourself. Every attraction, every craving, is in some sense a mirror of your own fragmentation, a signal that something within you seeks balance, integration, completion. Here lies the first step in transmutation, to recognize that your sexual energy is not the enemy, but the messenger. It speaks of what you yearn to become. When you stop fighting or fleeing it, and instead listen, the energy begins to shift. What once demanded expression through the body can now find voice through the mind and soul. The sculptor turns his desire into form, the poet transforms longing into language, the visionary channels it into the creation of a new world. This is no metaphor, it is the same force, only refined. From a psychological standpoint, the sexual instinct is the most honest mirror of the unconscious. It reveals what the conscious mind often hides: insecurities, projections, and unmet needs. Yet beneath that shadow lies the spark of your vitality. To reclaim it is to reclaim your creative birthright. Many people live dull lives, not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because their energy is scattered, drained through unexamined desires, digital distractions, and shallow connections. They are perpetually stimulated but never inspired. Real transformation begins when you gather that scattered energy and let it circulate inward, upward, and through. Imagine for a moment that this energy is light trapped in raw form. The more you contain it, not through repression but through conscious refinement, the brighter it becomes. Your eyes change, your presence deepens. You begin to radiate a kind of invisible gravity that others instinctively feel. This is not mystical exaggeration, it is psychological reality. People respond not only to your words or gestures, but to the quality of your energy, the tone of your presence. When sexual energy is refined, it emits coherence, confidence, and calm, qualities that command attention without demanding it. Philosophically, this energy is also a question. What will you do with the fire you've been given? Will you let it consume you, or will you use it to illuminate your path? The answer defines not only your relationships but your destiny. To transmute sexual energy is to recognize that pleasure is not the end. It is a door. On the other side lies the realm of purpose, of creation, of transcendence. Those who cross that threshold discover that fulfillment is not found in endless stimulation, but in the conscious direction of desire towards something meaningful, something enduring. When you begin to live from that awareness, every attraction becomes sacred. You stop seeing others as means of gratification and start perceiving them as reflections of your own divine creative spark. This shift transforms the way you love, the way you work, the way you exist in the world. You begin to move with intention, not impulse. Your energy ceases to leak through unconscious habits and begins to build momentum toward mastery. And mastery in this sense is not about control. It is about harmony. To master your sexual energy is to be in right relationship with your own nature. It is to recognize that this force is neither holy nor sinful, but profoundly human, capable of destruction or creation depending on the consciousness that wields it. When you understand that your sexual energy is your creative essence, you stop wasting it and start shaping it. You stop chasing validation and begin embodying vitality. You become magnetic not because you seek attention, but because you have become whole. Others feel it. They may not know why they are drawn to you, but on some deep instinctual level, they recognize your integration. When we speak of transmutation, we are not discussing suppression, restraint, or avoidance. We are speaking of alchemy, the inner process of refining a raw instinctual force into a higher expression of consciousness. To transmute your sexual energy is to participate in the ancient art of transforming base elements into gold, not in a literal sense, but psychologically and spiritually. The base element is your raw desire. The gold is your awakened presence, your creativity, your capacity to love without clinging. This process begins with the recognition that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. The sexual impulse, therefore, cannot be eliminated without consequence. If denied, it festers in the unconscious, expressing itself through frustration, anxiety, or obsession. If indulged blindly, it drains vitality and dulls the spirit. But when consciously directed, it becomes the same force that propels you toward mastery, creation, and self-realization. The mind must first learn to hold the energy without immediately seeking its discharge. This is where most falter, because we are conditioned to relieve tension rather than understand it. But tension is not the enemy. It is the crucible of transformation. When you resist the habitual urge to release your energy impulsively and instead observe it, something begins to happen within you. The energy, no longer dissipating outward, starts to rise, to reconfigure itself. It refines the nervous system, sharpens the intellect, deepens emotional perception, and strengthens willpower. This is not mysticism. It is psychological evolution in motion. In this alchemical process, desire becomes devotion. What was once a chaotic bodily compulsion becomes a disciplined current of vitality that infuses every dimension of your being. Your thoughts gain clarity, your emotions balance, your actions align with purpose. The unconscious force that once controlled you now becomes your ally. It fuels your vision instead of your addiction. You begin to sense that your body and psyche are not at odds. They are instruments of the same music, waiting to be tuned into harmony. Yet transmutation does not occur through mere abstinence or intellectual effort. It demands awareness, deep embodied awareness. You cannot transmute what you refuse to feel. You must enter into your own depths, encounter your desires without shame or fear, and hold them with consciousness. This act of witnessing transforms the energy's vibration. Instead of descending into compulsion, it begins to ascend into creativity. Instead of craving, you experience power. From a psychological point of view, this transformation marks the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming whole. When you transmute sexual energy, you are integrating the instinctual with the spiritual, the body with the mind, the shadow with the self. The division that once made you feel fragmented dissolves. You no longer chase external experiences to complete you because the energy of completion already circulates within you. This is why individuals who have refined their energy appear luminous and centered. They are not consumed by desire, yet they are deeply alive, radiating a quiet magnetism that others instinctively recognize. In transmutation, there is also discipline, a sacred kind of discipline, not of repression but of reverence. You learn to respect your energy as something precious, not something to be wasted or hidden. Each time you redirect it from mere physical gratification toward creation or growth, you strengthen your inner authority. Your desires stop ruling you. You begin to rule them. This shift is subtle yet profound. You move from being driven by impulse to being guided by intention. Consider how this plays out in your daily life. The energy that once sought constant stimulation can now be used to write, to build, to study, to love more deeply. The passion that once exhausted you becomes the current that sustains you. What was once restlessness turns into momentum. You realize that every impulse carries within it a choice, either to descend into momentary escape or to rise toward lasting fulfillment. The more consciously you choose, the stronger your inner fire grows. Philosophically, transmutation reveals a deeper truth about human nature, that our instincts are not obstacles to enlightenment, but pathways toward it. The same energy that tempts you can also transform you. The same desire that leads one person into chaos can lead another into creation. The difference lies in awareness. The alchemist of the soul is not one who rejects the material world, but one who sees the divine pattern within it, who recognizes that every human urge is an invitation to evolve. You might ask, how will I know when this transformation has begun? You will know because your relationship with desire changes. You will feel a new calm beneath the storm. You will no longer be driven by the need to possess. Instead, you will be inspired to create, to serve, to understand. Your energy will no longer leak through fantasy or indulgence. It will consolidate, gathering force. And others will feel it, not as aggression, not as hunger, but as presence. A presence that calms, attracts, and uplifts without effort. This transformation, however, is not achieved once and for all. It is a continual practice, a daily turning inward, a daily refinement. The more you practice, the more you realize that every moment of temptation is an opportunity to expand awareness. Each urge, each spark of desire, is raw material for your inner gold. To transmute sexual energy is to become the craftsman of your own soul. It is to take what is instinctual and make it intentional, to take what is physical and make it spiritual. It is the art of using desire not as a chain but as a ladder. And when you learn to climb it, every experience, pain, longing, attraction, becomes part of your ascent. So when the fire stirs within you, do not rush to extinguish it. Sit with it, breathe into it, let it teach you. For within that heat lies the blueprint of your transformation. What burns to consume you can also burn to illuminate you, if you have the courage to let it. There is a strange and undeniable truth about human connection. People feel you before they understand you. Long before a word is spoken, before a gesture is made, the body of another perceives your state. It happens in silence, beneath awareness, in the hidden language of energy and emotion. You cannot hide it. No amount of charm, clever speech, or imitation can mask the vibration of your inner world. This is what makes transmuted energy so powerful, because when your sexual energy is elevated, others feel it, not through logic, but through resonance. Every human being carries an unconscious sensitivity to the energies around them. This is not mysticism. It is biology and psychology intertwined. The unconscious mind reads subtle cues, tone, breath, posture, gaze, the rhythm of one's presence, and interprets them instantly. When your energy is chaotic, others sense the instability. When it is needy, they feel the pull and instinctively protect themselves. But when your energy is whole, contained, and radiant, something entirely different happens. People relax in your presence. They open without knowing why. They are not responding to what you do, but to what you are. This is the essence of unconscious resonance, the communication beneath words. It is why two people can share a room in silence and still feel an intense attraction or comfort. The energy field, what we might call the psychic atmosphere, transmits messages faster and truer than language ever could. And this is why transmutation matters. When you refine your sexual energy, you refine the signal you send into the world. You are no longer broadcasting need or lack. You are radiating fullness, vitality, coherence. The human psyche is like an instrument, constantly tuning itself to its surroundings. When it encounters another psyche vibrating at a higher, more integrated frequency, it naturally seeks harmony with it. This is why others are drawn toward those who have mastered their inner energies. It is not manipulation, but resonance. They are responding to an archetypal pattern, the same instinct that draws a plant toward sunlight. They feel in you something they wish to awaken in themselves. Psychologically, this is the point at which magnetism replaces seduction. Seduction operates through tactics, through the attempt to control the reactions of others. Magnetism, however, arises from alignment. It is the natural consequence of an integrated psyche. You are no longer trying to make anyone see your worth. You are embodying it. People sense authenticity immediately because it is so rare. In a world saturated with pretense, truth is magnetic. You may notice that when you transmute your sexual energy, your relationships begin to shift. Some people who once occupied your attention drift away. Others of deeper resonance begin to appear. This is not coincidence. It is psychological gravity at work. The unconscious seeks environments that mirror its evolution. You cannot vibrate at one frequency and remain in the company of those who live entirely in another. The pull of resonance is too strong. This is why personal growth often brings both solitude and attraction. As you refine your energy, your presence begins to act as a mirror, reflecting back to others the state of their own inner life. At first, this can feel isolating. You may sense others projecting onto you, admiration, desire, even discomfort. But if you remain centered, you will see that none of it is truly about you. They are responding to the energy you carry, the quality of being that emanates when sexual vitality has been transformed into spiritual composure. Some will be drawn closer. Others will withdraw. The reaction does not matter. What matters is that your energy remains pure, unfragmented, unattached to outcomes. In that steadiness, true influence emerges. This influence is not control, it is presence. When your energy vibrates with coherence, you subtly elevate the space around you. People feel more at ease, more alive, more open. They cannot explain it, yet they sense that something about you is safe and powerful at once. This is because you no longer seek to extract anything from them. You have ceased to approach life as a consumer of experiences and have become instead a generator of them. That shift, from taking to radiating, is the true hallmark of transmutation. From a philosophical standpoint, this phenomenon reveals the deep interconnection of all consciousness. You are not a closed system. Your thoughts, emotions, and energetic state ripple outward, influencing others and being influenced in return. What you carry within becomes part of the collective psychic field. This means your inner work is never isolated. When you transmute your energy, you contribute to the refinement of the collective. Your transformation silently grants permission for others to evolve. And yet, this power demands humility. To carry refined energy without ego requires deep awareness. The moment you use it to manipulate or inflate your sense of self, it collapses back into the lower frequencies of desire and control. True magnetism is effortless because it is not directed at a goal. It is simply the byproduct of being whole. To cultivate this state, you must remain inwardly attuned, continually cleansing your motives, refining your thoughts, and returning to the center where your energy flows unimpeded by fear or need. Over time, you will notice how this subtle transformation changes everything: the way you walk, the way you listen, the way others respond. You begin to communicate not only through language, but through presence. You no longer need to convince or pursue, because the quality of your being speaks for you. In that state, people feel seen without you saying a word. They are drawn not to your persona, but to the calm intensity that radiates from your integrated self. This is the silent force that shapes human connection. It is what makes some individuals unforgettable, not because they demanded attention, but because they embodied authenticity so completely that others felt closer to themselves in their presence. When your energy becomes whole, the world mirrors that wholeness back to you. Every encounter becomes an echo of your inner state. If you are empty, you attract need. If you are full, you attract depth. So refine your energy until it speaks truth in silence. Let your presence become your language. Because when your inner vibration aligns with coherence and clarity, you won't need to reach for anyone. They will already be walking toward your light. There is no true transmutation without first meeting the shadow. Every human being carries within them a world unseen, a labyrinth of suppressed desires, unacknowledged impulses, forgotten fears, and forbidden longings. We often hide these parts of ourselves, believing that to be virtuous or enlightened means to be pure of instinct. But the more we deny our own darkness, the more power it gains over us. To integrate desire is not to destroy it. It is to make peace with it, to bring it into the light of consciousness where it can serve, not sabotage, our evolution. The sexual instinct, perhaps more than any other, reveals the paradox of our nature. It is both sacred and animal, creative and destructive, capable of the highest devotion and the deepest obsession. It exposes our duality, our yearning for transcendence and our entanglement with the flesh. Most people try to solve this conflict through repression, covering their desires with shame or moral ideals. Others swing to the opposite extreme, indulging without reflection, mistaking freedom for excess. Both paths lead to fragmentation, because both refuse to face the deeper truth. Desire itself is neither good nor evil. It is energy, pure and raw, waiting to be shaped by awareness. To integrate desire, you must first understand it. When an attraction arises, when passion stirs or fantasy appears, do not run from it. Observe it with the curiosity of a scientist and the compassion of a sage. Ask yourself, what does this energy seek to express? What is it reflecting about my own unfulfilled potential? Often, the figures we desire most deeply are mirrors for the parts of ourselves we have yet to embrace. The seductiveness of another person may not be about them at all. It may be the projection of your own vitality calling you home. This is where psychology meets spirituality. When you become conscious of your projections, you begin to reclaim the energy you once scattered onto others. Every attraction becomes an opportunity for self-discovery. Instead of seeking to possess another, you begin to recognize that the qualities that captivate you, confidence, sensuality, creativity, are dormant aspects of your own psyche waiting to be lived. The person who triggers your desire becomes a teacher, not a temptation. This shift in awareness is one of the most profound acts of inner alchemy. But to reach this level of consciousness, you must also confront the emotions that hide behind desire: fear, insecurity, the hunger for validation. These are the ghosts that feed on unacknowledged needs. The more you pretend they do not exist, the louder they become. Integration means turning toward these shadows without judgment. It means admitting that the longing for intimacy may conceal a deeper longing for connection to your own soul, that the pursuit of pleasure may mask a fear of emptiness. When you are honest enough to see this, the energy that was bound in confusion begins to loosen, to transform. What once ruled you now becomes your raw material for awakening. Philosophically, this process demands courage. To face one's own darkness is to confront the entire range of human experience, the sacred and the profane, the beauty and the chaos. Most people spend their lives avoiding this confrontation because it threatens their image of themselves. But real transformation begins the moment you dare to look directly into your own shadow and say, "I see you and you are mine." In that act of recognition, the division between your higher and lower nature dissolves. The instinctual becomes an ally to the spiritual. The animal learns to serve the divine. The great paradox is that the very energy you once feared, the wild, erotic, unpredictable current within you, is the same energy that, when integrated, gives birth to your power, your creativity, your magnetic presence. When you are no longer ashamed of your desire, it stops controlling you. When you bring consciousness into your passion, it becomes wisdom. This is the path of integration, not denial, not indulgence, but transformation through understanding. You will know this integration has begun when you no longer experience desire as a force of chaos, but as a pulse of creativity. You will feel attraction without losing clarity. You will sense passion without becoming possessed by it. This balance gives rise to a quiet confidence, a wholeness that others can feel. People are instinctively drawn to those who have made peace with their own nature, because such individuals radiate acceptance. They do not project need or fear. They emanate freedom. From a psychological viewpoint, integration also dissolves the inner war between moral ideal and instinctual truth. You no longer have to choose between being spiritual or sensual, disciplined or passionate. You realize you are both, the spirit clothed in matter, the divine expressed through the body. This realization frees immense energy that was once trapped in guilt and repression. That liberated energy becomes your creative power, your intuition, your life force. The integration of shadow and desire is not a single event. It is a continual practice of awareness. Every time you feel desire arise, every time temptation pulls at your focus, you have a choice: to react unconsciously or to witness it consciously. Each act of witnessing transforms the energy a little more, refining it into clarity. Over time, the raw instinct that once led to impulsive action becomes a refined current of inspiration, guiding your art, your relationships, your purpose. In this state, you no longer seek to escape desire because you understand it. You honor it as the messenger it is. It reminds you that you are alive, that your soul still hungers for union, not just with another person, but with life itself. That hunger, once feared, becomes your compass. It directs you toward authenticity, depth, and creativity. When you integrate your shadow and desire, you cease to be divided against yourself. You move through the world not as a fragmented being chasing fragments, but as a whole person emanating wholeness. And in that wholeness, others find a reflection of their own. So do not run from the darkness within you. Step into it. Let it reveal its secrets, for what you fear in yourself is not the enemy. It is the fire waiting to be claimed. And when you finally embrace it, you will discover that what once threatened to consume you now fuels your light.